Good day, everyone. My name is Henry Du Plessis, and I'll be your lecturer for Building Economics 1 for this semester. And in this first lecture, I'm just going to run through the study guide and what we can expect for this semester. And we'll still have our face-to-face in brackets lecture when we get online and Blackboard. So this is just the initial lecture for this week. Next week hopefully we'll be able to meet online, so I'll still post an announcement with regard to that. So I just want to run through the module and what we basically want to do, all the formalities and what's needed and so forth for this module. So just looking at the broad aim of BBED or QIBE for the QCP students. The goal of the module is to provide the students an introduction of knowledge and the fundamental theories of economical concepts relevant for the construction industry. You will see in our second lecture that we're going to focus on what the relationship is between general economics and construction economics. So the two are very related to each other, as the GDP of the country is related or influenced by certain sectors in the economy, of which the construction sector is a big part. So some of these concepts include cost planning, cost comparisons, and cost control. In your second, third, and fourth year, we're going to build on this. In your fourth year, if you do your honors, or if in your third year you're going to do a lot with deal with construction economics and the financial side thereof, bookkeeping, and also you will see how the bills of quantities also influences the budget of the project, how a schedule in a project actually influences the cash flow of the project and that type of thing. So but in this module we're just going to touch on all of these bases and look at how most of the concepts has been developed over the years and how do they relate to each other. So it will give hopefully provide you with a clear understanding of subsequent building economic modules that will follow on top of this one, that will build on this one. So firstly, this is just a and then I just added I just added some of the role players that you will encounter. On the professional side, you will have the architect, the client, the engineer, the quantity surveyor, and then you've got the contractor on the other side. And this is just some of the role players. There's many more role players that's also involved. Your engineers can be divided into mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, etc., etc. And you've got suppliers that's also of materials. You've got subcontractors, people working in the IT industry, developing software for BIM, for instance, BIM usage, drawing applications. You've got mining enterprises, mining lime for concrete purposes, and brickwork and so on. So there's a whole lot of other items or industries also related and intricately intertwined in the construction industry. So just looking at project management, you will see that I've added a general project management theory of Berg, who's quite a renowned project manager. But whether you're working on the development of a new aircraft or new software or in the construction industry, you have certain basic project life cycles that you work on. Usually someone will come to you and they will require a concept or initiation. This is the need. We need to develop a new aircraft to carry goods to certain parts of the world. Same with the ship project. Same with the construction. Your client can come to you and he can ask, okay, this is the need. I need to build a house for myself and my family. And then the concept starts out there. Then there's a certain amount of design work that takes place. And then we've got the implementation, or in our case, the construction phase. Then we've got the commissioning and a handover to the client. So that will be usually our closeout or so. And many of you may already be familiar with the construction sequence. So in this, the SAC CPCMP, the SAC QSP, the EXA, SACUP, and all of the professional bodies in the construction industry follow a 6-stage project life cycle. Now in this module we're going to look at the REBA breakdown of the project life cycle, which is broken down into a little bit more detail than the 6 stages that we are used to in South Africa. But in the later years and the later modules, we will start focusing on the 6 stages of the project management. So hence we start with that. But in general, you will see there's basically 3 stages or 4 stages. We've got the initiation phase and the design, and then we've got the implementation, and then we've got the closeout. And that is more or less in a nutshell the project life cycles summarized very well. So, but looking at the South African life cycle, we've got the stages 1 and 2, which is our inception, our concept and feasibility stage, and then we've got our design, and then our procurement stage, where we develop our procurement documents, and then we've got our construction stage, which is the actual implementation thereof, and then we've got our closeout, and the closeout then feeds back into stage 1. So you can see this is a closed system. In your 3rd year, we're going to focus a lot more on the actual closed systems, where you have open systems and closed systems. In our situation, usually stage 1, if everything ticks the right boxes, if the client is happy with the design, we can go over to stage 2. If we go over to stage 2 and it falls within their budget and the design adheres to the client's requirements, then one can go into the design. And then at any one of these stages, the client can say, but okay, this is now not within my perimeters anymore, let's stop the project here. And then once you've done with your project, the information that you built up during this project is then carried over to the next project or to the next phase of the project and so on. So this is the rationale of cost planning, cost control. So you always plan according to your previous work, your historical data, and then you build on that and go through the different stages. So this is more or less how the control system works. Okay, so within this module, we're going to look at specific objectives that we're going to try and achieve to interpret the developers' requirements in terms of the construction and the economy, discuss the reasons for the construction and the identification of costs associated with it. Why do we build? That question, and then we're going to try and explain the fundamental principles of building costs and cost planning and cost control. And then we're going to apply these basic tools such as cash flows, cost models used by QSs, and then we're going to look at the same scenario for project managers. As you've seen in the previous slide, the project life cycle and the cost management has a very big relation to each other, because cost is a big constraint on a project, and a project can only be completed if there's enough money available to actually pay everyone to do the work. Okay, and then we're going to discuss the implications of changes. So during construction, this is why we always try to go out on tender with a bills of quantities, so that we've got all the quantities, and if there's any changes, we can see what the implication thereof is, so that we can make a decision. Okay, can we still continue with the project? Will we still be able to complete this project if this change is made or not? And then we're going to look at understanding and explaining the REBA plan of works and the different stages. And I'll try and relate it to the South African 6 stages. It's, like I said previously, it's just broken into more detail. Okay, then the module structure. We've got 4 units that we're going to cover in this module. We're going to start with our introduction. Then we're going to look at cost planning, cost control, and then the cost implications if there's any changes. So you can see there's always planning before control can actually take place. That old saying, if failing to plan is planning to fail, applies to this rationale. Okay, then class attendance. You will see in the study guide 100% of class attendance is required. If you cannot attend classes, please let me know 7 days beforehand. The reason for that is you might be asked to complete certain sections. There's usually questions if not attending classes. There might be 1 or 2 quick quizzes in our lectures. So always try and stay on top of what is communicated beforehand or during class also. Okay, and then we've got a workload breakdown. So we've got this is a 16 credit module, so it amounts to about 160 hours spent that you have to spend on the project, or on this module. So you can see the breakdown as proposed in this area. So this will give you a bit of a guideline of how much time you actually need to spend on this module to complete it successfully. Okay, the module calendar. Okay, and I've just added this little snippet here to show you that with the COVID situation now these days, we don't really know what day it is. We just take it one step at a time. So I try to keep the calendar as fluent or flexible as possible, but we would I will communicate with you timelessly as we go along. So at this stage we are still planning to have our first workshop for this semester in Bloemfontein from the 6th to the 11th of September, and then from 13 to 18 September, and hopefully everything works out for that. But we will communicate with that. The main thing for you is to stay on top of all the lectures as they are posted on Blackboard. Okay, and then we've got some formal assessments, and we'll get to our formal assignment, the date for that submission. I'll show that on the last slide. I've got the provisional dates on there, and yeah, we will also discuss that in our first online session as well. Okay, and then very importantly, we've got one formal test which counts 20%, and we've got our formal assignment of 40%, so a very big assignment, so it's worthwhile to spend some time on it. It has already been posted, so please make sure that you have a look at it. And then we've got our informal assessments, which will be smaller tests and quizzes and so on. So please make sure that you stay abreast of that, because it does contribute quite a bit to your final mark. Okay, and then we've got a breakdown of our predicate. We've got our module mark of our semester mark of 50%, and then our exam, which is a written exam, of 50% as well. Okay, study notes. We've got our soft copies will be uploaded onto Blackboard. So you will see that we've got some additional reading, which is Kirkheim and ferry and branding costs. I'm going to make 1 or 2 extracts from the book as we go through the study notes, but the study notes will be the primary source of learning material, so please make sure that you actually have a look at it. Okay, then the recommended books, you can have a look at Hilbrand and Smith, which will also give you some insight into cost planning and building design and so forth. We're not going to go into this too much, but this is just for additional reading and will help you a lot when you do your assignment. Okay, and then I've just got this little meme that I've just put up here, but the more important thing that I just wanted to show you is the B1M channel. You will see that I do refer a lot to the B1M channel, and you can use this link. You will see it on the PDF lecture. You can just copy and paste it into your browser, and it's a very interesting video on a project where it didn't go very well. It was a lot of circumstances that played into it, especially economic wise, not necessarily construction cost planning wise, but it will give you a bit of an insight of the relationship between the construction economics and general economics, and how it influences each other. Okay, then we're just going to go into our unit guides. I'm not going to go in it too much, but we've got basically our 4 learning units, and you will see unit 1, as I've mentioned, is just our introduction to building economics. And then we've got our learning unit 2, which focuses on the cost planning and the main factors of building economics. And unit 3 focuses on the control and includes the concept of cost control, and this we're going to discuss how that works. And then 4 focuses on the implementation of the effects of changes or alterations during construction. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, just a summary. And then in unit 1, in your study guides, you will see the guideline of what we're going to look at. So we're going to look at the needs of the individual and the community, the needs of the developer, and chapter 1 incorporates the general background of building economics. So you need to be able to describe the role of the construction professional in determining the needs, explain the needs of the individual in the community, explain the needs of pertaining to space, privacy, and lifestyle. And then you should be able also to explain the need for and motivation for development from a developer's perspective. Why do developers develop? Okay, and then you will see that all the material will be posted on Blackboard. Okay, if I mention here test 1, it just means that this content will be included in your first test. So you can start reading through your class notes of so long, and also have a look at the videos that I'll post. Okay, and then we'll have our informal assessments and tutorials that we will run through, but that will still be communicated. And then the same with unit 2, all the information is included here. We're going to focus on the REBA plan, the historical data and information, how that's used, and cost modeling, and then cost planning, etc. Unit 3, we're going to look at cost control and areas of cost management, areas that we need to focus on whenever we're doing cost management. So we're going to discuss that in this module. And then the final unit, we're going to look at the functional requirements and the implication of construction methods and material, and then cost implications of variables. So we're just going to expand on unit 3 a little bit. Okay, and then you can ask, I just put in the slide. This is usually a slideshow that I use with a face-to-face lecture, but if you do have any questions, you're more than welcome to email me and also give me a ring. Um, just note that with COVID, we have to be in front of our computers to actually be able to pick up the phone. So the emails usually works best, and we've got a paper trail and so forth. Okay, and then, okay, I just added this video again. Very important that you try and watch this video because in the next lecture I'm going to refer to this a little bit, so it's important for you to actually have a look at it. It does explain a lot. And also view the B1M channel for any other information. There's nice information videos on BIM, technology, robotics, new large construction developments taking place all over the world, etc., etc. So very important to actually have a look at this. Okay, then we look at the assignments. There's only one assignment. It's due on the 18th of October, and it will be via Blackboard. I'll still post the link to you, but it basically comprises you are the client and you want to develop a 2,000 square meter double-story hospital consisting of 100 beds. And during the initial stages, rebar 2 and 3 of the design, he decided to change the physical requirements to 4,800 squares and the shape as well to an L-shaped 5-story hospital consisting of 200 beds. And you have to advise your client concerning the following possible implications that the changes will bring about. So what will be the cost implications, the foundation implications, and structure implications. So you need to discuss and advise your client or give your client feedback what will be the implications with these changes. Okay, and then second part of the question, section 2, is to estimate for each of the 2 buildings above by making use of the following information. Use the unit method, cube method, and the area method to calculate the cost. Make the necessary assumptions. If you make any assumptions, please indicate it in your assignment. So we've got a 50 million rand cost of the project, and then 3-story buildings. It's a 3-story building, 150 beds. Okay, so it's a hospital beds, and 1,000 square meters floor area, including communal areas. So in the end, the area was finalized at 1,000 square meters. Okay, and then you will also need 2.8 meter high exterior walls for the story height. Okay, then the third section is, in light of the COVID pandemic that we're currently facing, discuss the role that the construction industry plays in the economic and social welfare of the country. Okay, so you can already start cracking on this section of the assignment. Approximately 5 pages, and you need to make sure that you adhere to all of these criteria. We use the Harvard method of referencing, and you have to complete all 3 of the subsections. It will be handed in via Blackboard on PDF. 10% of the total will be deducted if the declaration is not attached. You will see the declaration is attached as the 3rd page of your assignment question. Look at the evaluation sheet, the rubric, for guidance on what each section will count and what is important, what is not. And then read the assignment guidelines posted on Blackboard. So if there's any additional guidelines that's on Blackboard, please have a look at that. Okay, and then you will see the rubric and the mark allocation whenever we're going to assess your assignment. Okay, as mentioned, the hand-in date is 18 October via Blackboard. The link will still be shared. Okay, and then we get to our dates. So our first informal will be next week. I will still post that on Blackboard for you, and then you will also see informal tours on the 19th, informal 3 on the 2nd of September, and then our first test will be on the 9th of September, and then on 30 September we've got another informal, and then the big submission of 18 October for our assignment. So this is more or less the summary of how I've proposed the assignments or the assessments will be conducted. But more on this will follow during the next few weeks as I post the assignments and the questions online. Okay, and then finally I just left this slide in. This is a slide that I usually do with the architects, building economics that we do with them. Is we are largely in the construction management and QS professions, we are normally a bit more left brain orientated. We are more scientific about the way we approach things. We are a little bit less creative than the architects, for instance, but the QSs are usually the link in between. The engineers fall a little bit more towards the left than the QSs are, and the QS and the construction manager is usually the person that has to interpret what the architect or the creative people on site are trying to convey to the contractor, to the engineer, and to everyone. So it's very handy to understand that you will not necessarily know everything, and you will not necessarily know exactly on what type of reinforcement should be used, how much of it should be used also, but you can ask the question whether the design that is done now, does it make sense? Will the contractor actually be able to build this? What is different constraints? You will ask the critical questions and still try and be the link between the architect. Will maybe doing away with this structural element, will it still be aesthetically pleasing? Will it still bring through the design that the architect was looking for? So try and place yourself in that situation, that you are kind of the middleman between the creative side and the scientific side, the rational side. So I always just put this in the olden days. You used to have the master builder that did basically everything. He did the design, he did the quantities, he did the actual building, the procurement, and so forth. But as building construction became more complex, we started specializing into specific professions, and where the QS still links very closely with the architect and also with the engineer to make the whole project work, and to look at creative ways of actually making the constraints viable, and looking for solutions within the budget and the economic constraints that you will have on any project. So I hope you guys enjoyed this first lecture, which was just basically an introduction to what we're going to do. So yeah, the first lecture will, on the actual content, will follow on top of this. Thanks everyone, keep well.